The Genovese crime family has been around for nearly a century and still exists in New York City to this day. But back in 2003, the murder of one of the gang's top leaders in Springfield, Massachusetts, an offshoot there, threatened to take the entire family down. It's the focus of season 2 of the podcast Up Against the Mob from Cafe and Vox Media.
Al Bruno just took about 8 to the body at the Italian Club on Winthrop Street. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Blood was coming out of him from just about everywhere. He just was laying back flat when he still had the cigar in his hand.
Big Al Bruno ran the mob in Springfield, Massachusetts. He was as made as it gets. So his murder was big news, not just to the criminals in town, but to the cops, the FBI, and to my former employer, the United States Department of Justice. Bruno's murder would become our best shot at taking down the Springfield Mafia once and for all.
Host Elie Honig, one of the voices you just heard, recounts his experience as a prosecutor on the case and interviews police, informants, some of the mobsters surrounding the infamous crime family. Elie is also a CNN legal analyst. He joins me now. Elie, it's quite compelling stuff. I was able to listen to 3 episodes. I definitely wanted to hear more. But there is a lot out there about the mob. There are all sorts of podcasts. What's different here?
Well, first of all, this is the real deal. I was a mob prosecutor in New York City, federal prosecutor. And, people are sort of fascinated, rightly, by The Sopranos and Goodfellas and The Godfather. This is all real. And what I'm able to deliver here that I think is different is this is a case I worked on. And in this podcast, you hear from my fellow prosecutors, you hear from the FBI agents, you heard a couple clips there from Massachusetts state and local police officers. You hear from people who were involved in the mob. You hear from victims. I don't want to give too much away, but you will hear this story from every different perspective.
Okay. Well, I just mentioned, for example, the Genovese crime family. Just a few weeks ago, I think your former office, I believe the Southern District of New York, 6 Genovese organized crime family members pleaded guilty to racketeering. So these are still viable gangs, the mafia, the families. Tell us what your sense is of how they still thrive.
The rumors of the mob's demise are greatly exaggerated. The mob has changed and evolved, but it by no means has gone away. To the contrary, somebody still has to literally die in order for a spot to be available. And when that happens, there are dozens of guys vowing to get in to become made guys. Now, the mob does change according to the times, and you see some of this in the podcast. And what happened in Springfield, Massachusetts was essentially the Genovese family tried to get aggressive. They tried to colonize Springfield, for lack of a better term. And they essentially took over what was already a pretty active and bustling and profitable crime scene. And what ends up ensuing is violence, bloodshed, mayhem, and betrayal. So yes, the mob is very much still a presence, certainly here in New York City. It's not as much of a presence, not in the form it once was in Springfield, largely because of this case. But what happens is anytime you eradicate one group, we'll see new groups rising up that sort of take on different rackets and different techniques.
So not as much of a problem in Springfield. You have a sense of Boston, Providence, what was called the New England mob, still thriving?
Still there. Yeah, I mean, they'll change with the times. I'll give you one example. A long time moneymaker for the mob was sports gambling, and that comes into play in this podcast as well. Well, guess what? Now it's legal just about anywhere. You can place a bet through your phone. And so that's essentially thrown the mob out of that business. But they're constantly adjusting. They're constantly getting into new fields and new areas.
But has it thrown the mob out of the business? I mean, you look, even in a city like Everett, when the Encore Casino opened up, a lot of people said, how is it possible to have a casino without mob involvement? Now we have, and maybe the jury is still out there, I don't know, but now we have legalized sports betting. It's in venues. It's going to be, available on your phone. Are we opening the door to disaster? I mean, the mafia would have to want a piece of that. It's going to be worth billions.
Well, there's always going to be pockets that are left over. But I mean, the more legitimized and corporatized it gets, the harder it is for the mob to get a piece of it. I mean, it's much easier for the mob to have a bunch of bookmakers out there than to somehow get a piece of, I won't say the names, but there's a couple of very big private betting sites that advertise on NFL games. I think it's going to be very difficult for the mob to get into that, but they adjust. They get into different types of crimes. They get into selling pills is a thing now. They get into crypto now. So it's like, in some respects, any other industry where they have to evolve and change with the times.
So I was going to ask you about that. Have they adapted to the new sort of detached financial mechanisms, cryptocurrency? Are they evolving really in those ways?
Yeah, that's one of the developments. I mean, one of the trends that you'll see is as a new technology, as a new product emerges, that's where there's the most vulnerability, the least government regulation, the least law enforcement awareness, really. And so the typical life cycle that you'll see is the mob gets in on the ground floor, and then as things become more formal and sometimes legalized, then they get pushed out of that business. We saw that with certain types of drug trades through the 80s and 90s, with the gambling. And so, yeah, there's a constant sort of arms race there.
So setting the idea of the Italian mafia aside, you say it's still alive and well. What is the current mob or form of mob that we should be focused on?
So there's a generational aspect to this. A lot of the cooperators that I spoke with from the Italian mob would explain that, these mafia entities tend to hit their high mark the first or second generation after large groups of people come into the country. If you look at Cosa Nostra, Italian mafia history, it was at its strongest really in the 50s, 60s, and 70s because you were still dealing with first, second generations of immigrants. Now, what I've seen in my experience is you're seeing other newer ethnic groups. For example, here in New York City, we did a series of cases against Albanian gangsters who had started to challenge Italian mobsters for some of their territory. Some of their rackets even involved violent fights at times. There are certain areas, for example, here in Manhattan, where I am right now, Chinatown, it has been dominated the last couple of decades by Chinese gangs. So there's always this sort of evolution. But the way one mobster phrased it to me, one cooperator phrased it to me, is whoever's newest is the most aggressive.
Right, right. So we look at mobsters still, despite all the violence that we know about. They have plenty of cute nicknames. We have movies that you referenced in The Sopranos and Godfather and Joe Bananas, and John Gotti was the Teflon Don and the Dapper Don. All these sorts of things. We seem to still embrace the sort of fiction of it all. What is it that you think? What do you think people should really understand?
It is one of the conundrums of how we look at the mob. We know they are bad guys. We know they are criminals. We know in many instances they are killers, yet we find ourselves drawn to them. Both the fictional versions. I mean, when you watch The Sopranos, you're rooting for Tony Soprano for the most part. And with John Gotti, I prosecuted John Gotti Jr. There is some fascination with these folks. And I think you see that in this podcast. I mean, one of the main people who we speak with is Anthony Aralotta, who was a feared and notorious gangster in the Springfield area. And I think when you listen to this podcast, you'll see that it's complicated. You will, I think, find yourself at times revolted and horrified by some of the things he says. And at times, I think you'll find yourself empathizing with him and even laughing with him or at him, maybe. He's quite a personality, but there is a certain charisma, having sat across the table from a lot of these guys, that they have. I mean, in some ways, it's not unlike other industries where certain personality types, certain charismatic types are able to rise to the top.
Well, it's very compelling listening. Elie Honig, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The podcast is called Up Against the Mob, and the first episode of Season 2 is available to stream now on all streaming platforms.